Mr. Wright, who killed Dr. Teresa Sievers?
I did, Jimmy Rodgers.
The key witness in the Dr. Teresa Sievers murder trial testifying today, Curtis Wright, testified against Jimmy Rodgers. As part of Wright's plea deal, he got a lighter sentence. He's serving 25 years for his role. Wright says that he and Rodgers killed the doctor after her husband hired them to do it. Now, he's also expected to testify against Mark Sievers, who's his best friend, when his trial comes. I'm Patrick Nolan, along with Jane Monreal, who's anchoring our live coverage from the Lee County Courthouse. Literally gave me a sick feeling in my stomach to hear the graphic nature of this testimony today, Jane.
Absolutely chilling, Patrick. We heard a lot of information from Curtis Wright. He took the stand. It was chilling in the courtroom. He was getting choked up as well as he talked about how he actually murdered Dr. Teresa Sievers. Of course, like you said, he took the plea deal. But we hear more about possible motives, his relationship to Mark Sievers. They were high school friends. Want to bring in now Four in Your Corner, Sandra Rodriguez. It was almost like you could hear a pin drop in the courtroom when he entered. It was very chilling.
Yes, Jane, it was that testimony that everybody was just waiting to hear from the person who already admitted to killing Teresa Sievers. When he came out, right off the bat, asked, who killed her? And he said, I did. And he said Jimmy Rodgers did as well. And then he walked the jury through the events that led up to Teresa's murder, how him and Rodgers were waiting inside of the home for her to arrive from her trip, and how she got there earlier than they expected her to get there, so caught them off guard.
Yeah, it kind of, it was just off the whole time. And then when he talked about the weapons he used and grabbed a hammer because it was there in the room, it sounded like they had nothing planned.
Exactly. He said that they weren't sure how they were going to commit the murder. They were hoping just to get her to get unconscious and then do something. But he says that when she got there and started to walk inside, he followed behind her. His reaction was to grab a hammer that was laying right there, was walking behind her, and as soon as she heard when he kicked the dog bowl and she started to turn around, he says that he panicked and just hit her with the hammer. And then this is what he said.
What was your expectation when you hit her with the hammer?
I expected it to knock her out.
It didn't knock her out, did it?
No.
It's a little more difficult than you thought it would be?
I've never hit anybody with a hammer before.
You could hear how he gets choked up when he's just recounting the events. And so he didn't know, he said, where Jimmy was at the time this happened.
He didn't know, but then he says that Rodgers came in and started hitting Teresa, and this is how he said that Rodgers was hitting her.
Just started hitting her over and over.
How would you describe how he was hitting her?
In a frenzy.
Just an awful scene as you hear those words.
Yes.
So 2 hammers used on Teresa.
Yes, and then her family became very emotional. Her mom just crying, and then her older sister hugging the mom when they heard how Teresa locked eyes with Curtis Wright as he was hitting her and just had a look of shock on her face.
And her last word.
It was, she asked him why. Why? But she didn't give up right away.
She fought.
She fought for her life. This is what Curtis said.
After I hit her, she finished turning towards me. She put her hands up to fight back, to defend herself.
Did she fight?
Yeah.
You fought for her life?
Yeah.
You could just hear his voice crack when he talked about that. He teared up as well. I want to bring in now Professor Dr. Pamela C. from FGCU. I'm just getting caught up in the moment here too, Pam. I know we've talked every day here, but really breaking down today's testimony, and you saw a lot of it. What would you say, how strong was Curtis's testimony today?
Well, if I were to compare yesterday's testimony from Taylor to the testimony today from Curtis Wayne Wright, I would give yesterday's testimony about a B- or a C. Today was an A+. This was compelling to listen to what he was saying about how he knew Mark Sievers, how he and Mark Sievers planned this, and how he had contacted Jimmy Ray Rodgers and managed to convince him to be a part of this plan.
Yeah, I mean, just very, again, haunting as you hear how it all came to be.
And then very disturbing to hear how, when he talked about Jimmy Ray Rodgers saying, this is her destiny, as he's holding up a hammer.
Right.
That was absolutely chilling. It was disturbing.
Because they were unprepared, they did not know how they were exactly going to commit this heinous crime. And Jimmy Rodgers, reportedly, his nickname is
The Hammer.
The Hammer. And then he saw the hammer in the garage and said that.
And to talk about how they actually committed this crime, and they were surprised by her arrival. She was not supposed to be there for at least another hour. They were confused about the time frame given to them by Mark Sievers. So when she actually walked into the room, they were surprised that she was there, and he grabbed the first thing available and swung to hit her.
It's disgusting.
And to see the mother,
yeah,
I almost cried too.
Right, absolutely. We have just a few seconds left. Any major bombshells from his testimony today?
I do believe that this might be the clincher for the prosecution.
Okay. We're going to hear cross-examination for Curtis Wright tomorrow morning. In the meantime, we're going to talk again to Sandra at 6:30 and more on the evidence that was presented earlier this morning that connected Curtis Wright as well as allegedly Jimmy Rodgers to Southwest Florida. That will be coming up. In the meantime, you could always go and catch up with the trial and keep up and get push alerts by signing up with the Fox 4 News app or going to fox4news.com.